Let's do this. Here we go. That'll come up. So good morning. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. Quick reminder, past performance is not indicative of future results. I am sharing my trade plan with you in hopes it'll make you a better trader. However, following me blindly is never, or anyone else for that matter, never a good idea. Take what you like, leave the rest. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Thank goodness for most of us on that case. And see, educational purposes only. Oh, and you can lose your ass trading futures. Make sure you have a risk management plan and make really certain you know what you're doing before you start doing it. It's much easier to lose it than it is to make it. Trust me on this one. So, okay, let's get started, guys. So, phenomenal day Friday. We just nailed the turn on NQ. CL was there's plenty of scalps in CL, but I really underperformed there. And let's see if we can't jump in and make this thing work. So, since CL's already open, let's get the charts knocked out, and then we'll roll from there. Okay, so I never know which is A and which is instant 1 and which is instant 2. So we'll look. Oh, well, that answered that question. So get rid of this. And let's see our 5-minute chart on NQ. There it is. And by the way, before I go and tarnish this, let's just review really quick. So notice, so this is Friday's trading, right? So remember, the light blue areas are easily broken, right? Yellow are generally pretty strong, and white are the strongest, right? And I'm generally looking for responses or setups from the algo and our smaller time frame bars out of those key locations, right? Which is one of the ways. Someone asked me on the weekend, well, how do you figure out if it's a scalp or if it's a bigger push? If we're coming out of a yellow area, like that area was highlighted, if you watch the preview, that was the 50-60 retrace from a swing down below. This is a larger area here, and this is the mid of a half gap. I expected a big response out of this area. And then we had the intraday where we knew if we get above 75.20 that we had a significant chance of pushing up exactly as we did. And this was and you don't even have to catch the bottom. Our long entry was right here on Friday afternoon, and that was still 75.20 to 76.20. So 100 points, and you didn't have to pick off the bottom. It's pretty nice trading. So at any rate, let's go fix this chart so that it looks proper. And we are clearly gapping down. We're currently trading 74.15, and I'm going to assume that has everything to do with the fact that we don't have a deal with China, and I could care less one way or the other. I'm just going to take my trading setups. So let's go fix everything here really quick. Again, that was valid. I goofed it. There we go. So all this goes away. There we go. Let's start over. So I guess we're starting with NQ today. So we'll do high. So the green is simply noted, makes easy reference, right? Prior day's high, prior day's low. Watch for the trap back into prior day's low, guys. Everyone's getting pretty bearish here, and we usually just don't go straight up and straight down, but we are in a bit of a different world. So let's just go pick off volume point of control, TPO point of control. I expect that area. I don't have any expectation out of that area. It's usually a difficult place to initiate, makes great targets, right? That's valid. The back of this is valid. And that's also the settle price. So when I have an anomaly stack like this, right, obviously if we got here, we'd want to close the gap, right? So that goes to light blue, right? So I'm just thinking through what people are going to want to do, right? If we make it all the way back up here, why wouldn't we come and close the settle price? So therefore that goes from yellow to blue. This is in the middle of a bunch of anomalies, but it's at prior day's value area. So that goes to yellow. This is a valid anomaly. It's a volume point. So see when we have all of this. So see how the distribution was really odd all the way through the day. So let me show you this. So see here how it's really clear. Volume and time both built in the same place. It was really easy to pick off those support resistance areas, right? Over here, the volume and the time got distributed really oddly, right? So there's a ton of levels and they're not all easy to identify, right? So, and you can see we cut through all of them. That has a volume build and a TPO build. So I'm going to go with yellow there. That's at prior day's value area low and the anomaly. I'm going to go with yellow there. I'm going to do nothing here, even though there's a volume build, because I don't know how to resolve that. Because the natural target would be, if we got above here, would be to come in and test the volume point of control and the TPO point of control. So shoulder shrug on this. And again, if we get up over this, the natural target would probably be the settle price as opposed to this anomaly. So it goes to light blue and everything remains the same underneath and above. And since we are at 74.16, let's go pull off the other levels down here in case we're going to need them. So the easy ones to pick off are the naked volume points of control and the naked TPO points of control. And then we need to go look at this to see what's in here, because we are likely to explore it. So there we go. Let's go to the right, see how far back we have to go to find this. Okay, so we're back to March 28th. And within March 28th, this is already done. No. Old swing low always creates potential, even though there's nothing else there, for a possible reversal. And behind that we have interesting stuff. Okay, old swing low, untested settle price. I usually don't care about it, but that's so old that someone inevitably will be watching for it, right? So I'm going to create that as the easiest way for me to remember is just put a double red dashed line there. Anomaly, no volume build behind this, although I'm not worried. That's so far stretched. And I'll worry about the rest of this if we get down here. That pretty much covers it. This is an interesting area given where we're trading right now. That's a possible target. We'll just have to see how the day develops and what they throw at us. So let's post this up and go to the CL chart. And if you're asking me what my opinion is for the day, I got none, right? I just don't have one. And I don't need one for the day. I don't know what they're going to throw at us. I know that my chart will tell me as I'm going through intraday, will tell me where I should expect responses, and that's those yellow zones and those white zones, if there are any up there. And then this is Friday's 50-60 retrace right there. And I would, so now this throws a loop in this, right? This is the volume point of control and the 50-60, and this is still the anomaly I'd want to test. So this blue area, there's just a lot of crap built into here. And so normally I'd go, oh, 50-60, this becomes yellow, but then there's the volume point of control. So this is important. Everyone always wants rules. If there's too much crap overlaid in one area, I'm just going to default to my intraday chart as opposed to relying on the daily time frame. So all of that stays blue. I hope that makes sense. I don't have time to go through it in detail, but yeah, I expect a rejection. But the point is I expect a rejection somewhere between that 50 retrace and all the way up here to 7,600. So I'm going to rely on the intraday information. So that translates into this, right? That's the 5-minute chart. Right, we're obviously gapping down just below prior day's low. Watch for the trap back in. Stretch that out. We need all this, so let's do this because it's unlikely. Okay, and each of these don't, so I would treat this whole area as one, right? There's valid reasons for putting yellow zones there. I know there's a lot of yellow in there. It just tells you that expect a lot of, my guess would be two-sidedness in this area, right? They really wanted to hold above 75.20, and then going back to intraday, that's 75.20. So I'd put a special note above 75.20. Expect another squeeze, just like Friday. Expect another squeeze above 75.20. I'll go through it in detail in just a moment, but I would have that seared into your mind. If we get over all of this, any backside test into this area will lead to another push back to the upside. Okay, so let's post that up in the room. I'll post this on Twitter and stock twits later, but I want to make sure I get as much of the charts done before the open as I can. So thank you. 05, 14, oh, 13, excuse me. Monday the 13th. I wonder if that's lucky. Plus IQ 513. And if you're wondering, I make my living from the trading, not from running the room or coaching. The coaching's a thing I do to give back to people. But the trading's for me, and I don't feel very much pressure to trade in the first half hour. It doesn't suit me very well, and it leads me to errors through the course of the day, and there's generally plenty of money to be made. So that's why I'm always running a little bit, quote, behind for the open, because I don't care about the first 30 minutes to the hour as much as I do the 9:30 to 11:30 time frame. So NQ for Monday. Okay, let's go do CL really quick. Okay, this comes down here. Just a quick glance on CL from Friday. Okay, so those levels are still valid, right? So you'll see this is Friday's trading. Look how the trading, look why I lean on those yellow areas, okay? See how the blue area got easily traded through? Yellow area, rejection, 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 rejection. I want to try to pin my trades in these areas. We didn't quite stretch down into support. And see those blue zones? Those were valid areas. They just get traded through and chopped through a lot. I don't particularly like trading in those areas for anything other than scalps. If we could have gotten down here, I would have liked to try to swing it to the upside. If we could have gotten up here, I would like to look for opportunities to push to the downside. And when you look, if we make this 24 hours without having made any adjustments, right? I'm going to guess that yellow zone got tested. Let's see, maybe taking a long time to load, possibly taking a lifetime. How many days do I have loaded on this chart? 10 only. Wow. And so this is last night, right? So look at where we finally, this is Sunday evening, right? See how we finally got into that yellow zone? Again, those are important to me. Again, the blue all got traded through. Yellow's already been tested from prior session, rejected. Remember, this was untested, this was tested, right? So now this is going to morph, right? So now let's scoot this over to stage right, and let's go fix the chart. CL profile. I've probably lost most people at this point who want trading to be easy, and that's totally cool with me. Okay, so let's go fix this. Dun, 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 dun. Ta-da. Okay, now, so I chart CL on the US session only. Please don't send me emails about how the 24-hour session is valid. I know it is, and if you want to chart it that way, be my guest. I could care less about the 24-hour session. I find the US session gives me really great location, even on a 24-hour trading. And so therefore, that's what I chart. So this is still valid. Oh, because that was the 50-60 from that day. Let's see what's here. Hold on a second here. Anomaly. Let's go fix this real quick. Priorities low. Anomaly. And there was another anomaly right in here, but it got tested on Friday. So this was the area I was interested in. Nothing underneath. Let's look back to the left really quick. That just goes away. That goes away. Mid of the session is right where the volume point of control is. That's light blue. Easily traded through. There's a little anomaly right there and a volume build right here. So I'm going to go like that on that zone. I'm not crazy about it, but it's okay. And then upstairs, let's go back and make sure none of that had a flip. Nope, nope, yep, yep. I'll leave that as is. So that is what we are left with. And that translates into this now. And now you can see what the 24-hour look like. And yes, the zones are valid from the US session. So now look how that came out. Yellow zone, we rejected off the TPO point of control, volume point of control. That's this here. Sometimes it reverses. Sometimes it doesn't. I'll mute everybody. Sorry, guys. Mute all. Okay. Sometimes it reverses. Sometimes it doesn't. In the end, it's easily traded through, and I don't like to take a stand there. Hence, it's light blue. Trades through into the yellow zone. Rejection, right? First time in. Now we're above. And I would expect if we could get it, wow, just rocket shipped. If we could get a backside test of this location, I would expect a response above prior day's high. You can see there's no zone here for a reason. This was an old swing. That's what that dotted red line is, but there's no zones here. And you can see we still sliced right through those light blue zones. And again, sure, I didn't have a support resistance level here, but I didn't get zoomed through here. And then we start that whole session, that whole thing over during the day session. Importantly, guys, we are trending up out of London. See that right there? This is London open right there, right? So what's your warning sign that there's a problem? Pull your 50, 60s from here to here now, right? Excuse me, I apologize. So this will have to be adjusted, even though it'll be on the chart as we continue to make new highs, right? When we trend out of London, we tend to have a very good odds of closing at an extreme in the direction of the trend. So as of right now, that becomes a problem if we get below 62.30. There's no zones here, so this is all you have to lean off of. If we got underneath this and closed behind the 62.35, for lack of a better point, right, that would set us up for potential roll to the downside, but I would not bet on it until it really showed some damage by getting behind the 50-60 retrace for the day. That is as trend up as it gets. I don't know what the news is because I don't watch the news, but that's a pretty nice looking chart. And then remember, the other key areas from prior sessions low. So let's see, this is Friday, this is Sunday. So now I'm going to go from Sunday evening to the high. That's the other 50-60 I'm interested in. And two things. I expect responsive buyers here and responsive buyers here, right? So there's going to be two areas. I'm going to highlight the second area. Just make it a very light blue. Okay, that tells me that's the bigger picture 50-60, or I'll have to adjust it if new highs come in, right? And that 63.60 is my upside target right now for the day. This or this. And that's totally achievable considering we're at 63 right now, right? I'm not bearish. I don't care what you say. That's not a bearish chart. And then this is your last swing low. At a minimum, you want to get back below your last swing low on a 5-minute chart. So with that being said, right, we'll now flip this back to a 5-minute chart because that's what I like to look at. And US session only. And that's what the chart looks like now. That's your 50-60. This 62 is interesting because there's a yellow zone right behind it. And if I were going to try to, even if it fell apart, I'd expect a response out of that yellow zone first time in, and there's clearly structure to the left. So, and then the green is the prior day's high and low, and we're clearly above prior day's high. And remember the rule of thumb, if you fail to gap fill or fail to half gap in the first hour of trading, you tend to, so this is all Dalton's work. None of this is mine, right? You tend to push out for the course of the day. So let's, and how I don't think we're getting back below here anyway. So let's just do this. And then 65.20, 65.80 is the upside target on this. File, save as, JPEG, CL, 0514. Daniel, I hope you are killing it today because this is your 0513. Excuse me. Save. Okay, Slack. What do I do with you? Okay, and let's go. So now I'll drive this back over here. Okay, and we'll minimize this. And then finally, ES. I'm not going to do the Russell today because, well, hell, it's just too much. So, and we should have plenty of fun with ES and NQ anyways. Okay, so these are the levels from Friday, right? So as you can see, see how they tried to hold the yellow support, broke, right? So maybe I got the color of that one wrong. Push down into support, consolidation, hold, looking for longs. Push back above this yellow zone again. They try to hold. This is what trapped everybody, and then push to the upside. You can see when the market's really strong or weak on one end or the other, those levels will hold in terms of pausing, but won't necessarily reject. Usually they reject. However, if I'm focusing on trade location, again, the yellow zones give me areas to go look and go, hey, where are my setups coming from? And then you've got to use context to figure out whether the market's going to go higher or lower. Normally, in most markets, you'll get a response from each of those yellow zones. Friday was obviously kind of an interesting day, right, in terms of the amount of speed, velocity, and pain that was being doled out to late shorts. Let's go do the chart really quick. And again, I used to think these zones were like really mega super important, and I don't anymore. And the reason why is they're just locations to look for the setups. Or I'm more relaxed, one of the two. Be open in 1 minute, by the way, for those who chop area. Okay, see how choppy that whole profile is, but that in particular is horrible. Chart repaired here, so watch for the over-under on this. White zone. I'm not going to put a zone here. Well, I will. No, I won't actually. If we get here, we should get here. Just know there's an anomaly at 28.75. I'm not going to put a zone here either. I'm not going to do any of these. And then this. And this is actually a white zone as well. Which is very strong. We'll see. Watch it get zipped through, but those are good locations, both of those end caps. I don't have anything else. All of that is all good. In case we melt, I'm not even going to go down there and look because it's so far away for ES to melt that much would be challenging. Swing low, and then we'll go use the chart to figure out where the turns are going to come from. And that translates into this. And again, I'd be very strongly remind y'all, please have a 5-minute chart up. Speaking to people in the room, please have a 5-minute chart up of your key levels. There goes Daisy. Hold on a second here. I'll bring her downstairs as soon as I get this posted. That dog. She's right here. Come on, Daisy. Really? Come here. Daisy. Come here. Good girl. Come here. Come here. Sit. Sit. Good girl. Now you're locked in here with me. There you go. Sit. Relax. Go to your place. Go to your bed. Good girl. Daddy's working. You're just going to relax. Okay. I know you saw something. Okay, let's get this posted. Yes, I know. Okay. Yes, 0513. Okay, so all of these are now posted. I'm going to have to post them in a little bit to Twitter as well. And I want to cover one thing that I'm looking for today. Yes, for Monday. Okay. Okay, so I want to show you what was key here from Friday in both ES and NQ. Okay. Let's move this over. Okay, let's get rid of this. Okay, so remember on my other screens, I have these 5-minute charts, right? I'm not at all confused. You're gonna have to relax, babe. Sorry. You're barking. You know there's no barking while I'm working. Good girl. Okay, so let's fix this. Yes. Okay, so on NQ. Okay. Dang it. There we go. Okay. So these are my 5 range bars, right? Really tiny. But if you remember from Friday, we had a massive down wave. See that green area? That's the biggest freaking delta wave in weeks on that thing, right? And that is why I got so very bullish when we got above that wave, right? And then I'm just going to the algo to set me up for my longs, which is why. So this is when I left for lunch, right? Thinking, oh, this. So this is actually when I left for lunch down here. I came back and go, oh, look, we're over the wave, and I became insta bull, right? So, shh, okay, okay, shh, go lie down, go lie down. You're okay. There you go. Okay, so this is why I got insta bull right here, and so what I was looking at is, if you notice, first of all, my oscillator was crossed, right, which I could care less about actually. But what I'm looking for is the algo to kick in, right? And this is what I saw, which was I was long at 12:11. So what I was looking for, I was a little bit early, so I got a speed bar, which is what that blue line is there. Again, I can't break down everything right now. If I don't coach you, or you haven't been in the room for a while, it'll be confusing. But so this is a sign that they flipped on the bids, from the bid to the ask, right? That became a fractal. This became a shift up. Okay, so that arrow, this combination is very powerful. I'm very, very interested. And then on my differential here, I flip positive. So that combination, 1, 2, 3, that's really powerful. I'm willing to lose money almost every single time, even if this isn't crossed in the right direction. I don't care that much, right? So again, I took 75.36. I added 75.26. I put my stop at 75.15. My average was 75.31. And I pretty much thought we were going to go to the high of the day at that point. I was like, once we're over that wave. So if you look at how that is in correlation, right? So I'm going to highlight this. See this area right here? Okay. Now look back over here to the right. See how big that wave is? This tells you that once you get above these guys, now not every time, right? Because nothing's every time. But once you get above these guys, these people were everyone who sold in here thinking we were going to zero, all had to cover. This is a Merry Christmas to every trader who recognizes this, that these guys are under a boatload of pressure at this point and they have to come in. You pretty much have a gun to their head and they're going to cover. That's all there is to it. And someone in the room said it. Karen said, she goes, Karen goes, because I was long, she goes, I thought they would have sold off at the end of the day. I thought they would have sold off at the end of the day with the whole uncertainty around the trade negotiations. You're just gonna have to sit here because you broke the rules. Okay, you'll be all right. And I wasn't based on that. My entire decision was based on this wave right over here. That's all I can tell you. And then the algo kicking me in for the trade, right? And then the last piece was the art piece of any trading, which is how far do you think you can extend, right? And at any rate, if you'll look, every one of those combos, look at once we got above that wave, look at, so even if you didn't understand everything, right? Look if you were entering on, you were ignoring all your shorts, right? And then if you look, you get every combo of shift, speed bar, shift up. Okay, so this one would have hypothetically stopped you. Okay, this one, speed bar, shift up, paid you, speed bar, shift up, paid you, speed bar, shift up, paid you. All of those paid you. And then watch when you come back around for the backside test again, right? Speed bar, shift up, page you. I mean, the algo is just freaking Merry Christmas in you all the way through to the end of the day. I think we had one more dip here. Okay, speed bar, shift, page you. And you didn't get the speed bar shift up here. You just had to know you were backside testing a key area there when you came back in for that support at the end of the day. So if you're wondering why I was so bullish, there was three pieces. Number one, we buried the shorts right there, right? We were above them, and then I was just letting the computer do all the work in terms of the entry and staying in. And then the art part of that was, hey, I'm going to hold on to the trade, right? And not kick out nearly as heavily as I normally would, right? Now, that I could have gotten smoked. All it would have taken to get smoked on that trade would have been Trump to tweet something. That's it. That's all it would have taken to get smoked. I wouldn't have been able to cover quickly. I wouldn't have been able to get to the mouse. I promise you my stops would have been elected and probably run. Okay. Then the last piece. Someone asked me over the weekend, one of my coaching clients asked me, he goes, well, Simon, he goes, how do you know that? So we were discussing, how do you know? And I was like, I have no freaking idea, right? It's a brutal environment we work in from this level, meaning from a day trading environment. That's a brutal level that we engage in, right? So you can't know, right? All you can do is refine and refine and refine your entries. And then once you take that entry, right? That's why I'm so hesitant, if ever, to move my stops. Why? Yes, I know. If you read Market Wizards, and everyone has all these really elegant ways to move their stops and change things up and be perfect on your entry, exit, stop, and all that. But or you have the famous one, if you get, if the trade doesn't work the way you think it should work, that's new information and you should flip, right? That's all fantasy. But I got to tell you, the people who can actually do that are the half percenters, right? Even if you're very, very good, there's very few people who can take the trade, take the stop, flip, and go the other way. And in these indexes in particular, where NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Russell, where the cash flow is predominantly long oriented, right? Flipping to the short side is really hard. Second, the other thing that's important to remember, I don't give a shit what the news is. All the cash flow is positive on this. And if you look at these charts, no one's buried under this. I don't care what you say. Sure, there's some selling, but overall, not really, right? Like this is barely back. I pull the chart back on any time frame that's reasonable here. So, okay, you see that and you're like, oh, look, it's all going down. Really? Is it? Because shit, that doesn't look like a lot of down to me, right? That looks like a pretty damn strong trend up environment for the most part. I understand it's come down, but shit, it went straight up. This is what you get when something goes straight up, right? But to go, hey, I'm bearish, and I want to point something out to you. Notice, right, for those who like to shorten the hole, right, which I've discussed for a long time in this room, right? Notice on down moves, how few days close on the low, like one. Back here, and if you want to go back to even when it was nasty, back over here, right? See that? Or like we're actually really moving down in a pretty healthy fashion. That was last November, right? Look how many days closed at the low. Let's go mark them off so we can highlight them. We'll count this one. This one's kind of close. That one's kind of sort of close, right? That one's close. That one is on the low. That one's on the low, right? So in that November period of that hold down move, those are your close that are kind of sort of near the close of the low, right? So then go look to the right a little bit from that, right? So someone thinks, oh, I'm going to short the end of the day because that's a brilliant idea, right? Look what happened. What do you think happened to all those shorts right there between November 22nd, November 30th? They all got freaking blown out. And then when it rolled down again, here's your close on the low. So let me ask you, as a trader, what are you pushing for? Look how many closes up near the high you get, right? Mid to high off the lows, right? And look how many closes you get on the low. And what happens is your brain, because we're crack addict little people who are traders, right? Myself definitely included. And we all remember when it closes on the low, and we're like, ooh, I'm going to smash it to the low side, and we're going to close on the low, and it's going to be all over, and it's Armageddon, right? Well, flip your mentality. Look how many times it goes and closes on the high, like a lot, right? Mid to high is a lot. All you have to do is on days when it's closing on the low, there's usually a heads up on it, right? It's not like it's a shock. You can usually see the algo will usually set it up, but to press for it, right? Like, look at me, Daisy, do not jump on me, girl. I know you want to go upstairs, but you were barking, so you're done. You're in the timeout. So look how many times it closes on the high. So I'm just saying, whoever wants to short this, I don't give a shit what the news is, right? This was pretty bad, right? Everyone thought it was going to zero here. That was the low, 1224. That was it, right? So yes, we had 2 days that closed on the low going into the low of the market, right? And we had one other day over here that closed on the low back here on early January, and you were screwed from there on in if you were pressing for that low. So my suggestion is after 11 o'clock, you focus on longs, right? I know there'll be some days where, and depending on your skill level, but if your skill level is low, right, to medium, focus on the longs. They're easier than the shorts. The shorts are easy if they get picked off the high, and they're fun because they're fast. And everyone in this room knows I love shorting, but I hate to see people buried off of trying to press these lows. It's a great way to blow up. So that's my 2 cents on that. That being said, let's go look at today really quick. Okay, so let's go look at the overnight. Where's our biggest delta wave, right? So there's 2 things to keep in mind over here. Let's get over. There we go. So we know this was a big down wave right over here, right? So my first question would be, have we exceeded that down wave? And what you'll look is I have a yellow line underneath it. See that? We have not. So you know what this means? That means we are pushing into divergence here. If you take those 2 parts, new low, right? Your delta low is back over here. See that? So while that may look like a big wave, you've got to remember to zoom out and get some perspective. That is not a big, nasty wave, right? So intraday, is that delta divergence? No, but day over day, it certainly is, right? And then if you look in here and we spread out a little bit further, granted you, it's the first 30 minutes of the day, so I'm not overly eager to trade, right? You see we're pushing a new low, we push new lows on delta divergence. And you can also see on the oscillator, right, as we're pushing new lows. Clearly, this is a setup I normally love. I wish it would come more after 9 a.m. here lately, right? But you can see as we're pushing the low, right? Look at all that divergence, right? So now the question's always the same, right? So number one, we know what's on top, but now we know what's on bottom. This is a pretty freaking big push right here. So let's go highlight the push. Right? Number one, we have to stay underneath that to get a big extension to the downside. Number 2, that's the top of the wave. Number 3, that's the bottom of the wave. Let's go measure the middle of the wave. Bum, 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 bum. And a lot of this will get automated. Thank you, Bill, for doing some awesome work over the weekend. I can't wait to get that on when I talk to you later today. And you can see all the rejection underneath. So guess what? See all those down arrows? That's energy being expanded to the downside, right? That's people pressing. But look at all the delta that came off. This is people like, oh, this is it. We're going to zero. I'm going to short, right? Yeah, they're covering right now, okay? We're above the mid, right? What am I looking for? I am looking for fractal, speed bar, shift up, and then what's the last piece? Flip, right? So it's one specific, it's one motion, right? So see down here, I don't get any speed bar shift up. I get shift up, no speed bar, right? And this is already, the oscillator's already flipped, okay? So no, nothing for me to do, right? 830 comes along, and I'm looking through here. The first trade that actually fit my description of what I needed. This is close. This is a class B because there's no speed bar, but it's fractal, shift up. I wouldn't have known it till right at the last second. Flip. That's valid long right there at 838. I'm not quick enough to, I wasn't obviously even here to take it, right? I was working on the charts, but you can see that paid quite nicely. And then as we're pushing across, so this has crossed down. I'm not going to go through and divulge everything that we figured out on this oscillator, but it's important. I don't have any fractals or speed bars on top, certainly no shifts down off the top, nothing for me to do there. So, and then right now, so this was shift, right? So this is a good example of where I would have gotten stopped and where you need to use the mid. Okay, so this, see how this is fractal, shift, flip all at once right here. Okay, so the speed bar shift is the highest ranked trade, right? I would have gotten, it's unlikely I would have scaled this. I probably would have closed it right here on this. As a matter of fact, I can tell you I would have closed it on that right there, that fractal shift down. So I wouldn't have lost very much money, but my entry would have been right here. My stop would have been right here. It would have been a stop. Okay. Now I have speed bar, right? Speed bar shift, and I need the last piece, flip right there. That's my entry long. So if I'm going to be long, I'm long here at 74.29, stop, right? 74.16. And remember, in the first half hour, stops come at a higher rate, but my stop would have to be behind here, right? And it's okay. And so see this speed bar shift down, and now we flip to the downside, right? So it's just 8 to 9 a.m. crap is what it is, but that would be enough. That would kick me out of that trade because what I want it to look like, so I know, so this is important, right? I know exactly what the hell I want it to look like. Why? Because I can go back and look over here, right? I can go and go, okay, so what I want to point out here is the lack of reversal bars. So see this here, fractal shift up, pink pink bar. Again, that's another algo firing with the flip. That's really high odds there that's going to pay you, right? Again, remember this is the mid and getting above that big down wave, right? So speed bar, fractal, no shift, but you did get the flip again. So that makes it, instead of a 9 or a 10, it makes it a 7. Right? Still good, just not fantastic, right? Then we come over here, right? You can see that we had fractal, shift up, no speed bar, flipped, right? Right here. And you can see we didn't get, your stop has to go behind that fractal right over there. And then again, right? And remember, I'm pressing long because I'm above that wave, right? So what I'm looking for is for it to give me one of these runs with no down arrows, right? If I can get stretched far enough away from my entry, I don't care about the reversal signals if I'm pretty secure we're pushing to the upside. So that's what my picture looks like. Like I can see the extensions there and I don't get the shifts back down, right? Here, right? Here, where I'm looking over here, see how I'm getting fractal shift down, right? I don't want that. I want fractal shift up, which is, again, this is a 7, not a 10, right? But I want it to go, and I don't want it to shift back down. I want it to stretch. So if I'm going to be on guard, I'm going to be on guard for the shift back down, just like I would be over here and go, that's a problem, right? Now, if you'll notice next, as we've rolled down, again, I don't like to trade in that first portion, right? The other thing that we don't have and what sets this up to be fantastic is the divergences, right? You've got to watch these divergences on the MACD, and so this is a variation on MACD. At any rate, that's multiple MACDs one on top of another. If you roll back to the left here, and Bill pointed this out on Friday, which was, see as we're pushing up into here, okay, see the delta pushes are dropping off. You can see it. Price accelerating, right? Divergence, shift down. And now I just simply was not going to short Friday afternoon. That's all there was to it. I was going to look for longs, right? But it still worked if you were hunting the short, right? So the other thing is when you're coming out that bottom, you won't get this. It'll look like this, right? It won't look like this. So when I look at this over here this morning and I go, oh, pushing down, right? And then pushing down from here while price is pushing up. I didn't want that, right? I wanted the inverse. I wanted this pushing up, and no divergence within here. That's how I know it's going to rock. So there's multiple ways where I know how not to let go of that trade. Notice that each time I get that shift up, almost every time I can come out of it for some sort of profit. So really all I'm trying to discern is how quickly I'm going to get out of the trade, not whether the trade will work or not, because I have a pretty high level of confidence. And then the other part that I'm doing is, so this is a valid setup, right? That's fractal shift down on divergence, right? But I'm above that wave. And for me, that's sufficient, even being at the top of the wave and being above the mid, to ignore the short. Even though it paid in this case, if I showed you 100 examples of this, about 80 would pay and 20 would fail. So I'm going to go with the 80 that pay for the long side and not the 20 that fail. And then if it rolls, shoulder shrug, who gives a shit, right? If you're at an 80-20 split, right, meaning your win rate is at an 80-20, who cares? Okay, so anyways, let's jump off. Note-wise, just really quick on NQ, you'll see that we've opened up. No half gap, no gap fill, attempt to trap back into the low. Watch the second trap back in at the low, by the way, guys. There's a lot of room to push. And then this area down here is pretty significant. The back of that area in particular, that 72.40 is a big deal, and that 73.48 is a big deal. And this is valid support. You'll see off the 5-minute, right? We've already come in and tagged the top of that right off the open and push. So this has already been tested once. This is the second test. And just like any other support level, it is support until broken, but each subsequent time that it's tested gets weaker. Let's go do CL really quick. I don't know that there's much there to do, but we'll look. And if everyone thinks this is going to zero, well, by golly, you got to do what you got to do. I don't. I'm looking for the turn. Please bury yourself short. Why am I having a hard time with this chart? There we go. Shorting in the hole probably costs more people their trading accounts than anything else. There we go. Okay, CL. Here's the 5-minute. So let's go see if we could have found entry there, if we had any clue. Okay, so we had the blue levels, right? Valid, but they get traded through, right? So that up and down through this level is normal. Okay. So now let's go look over here. So I'm trading CL on a 7 range today. Okay, so number one, we had divergence at the high. All right, see that? So number two, we had delta divergence. Number three, let's go look at the wave. Big push up, big push down, biggest push up. So two things. Number one, if you want to short, you better know where these waves are. Let's go look behind this. Dun, 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 dun. Wow, it's really big waves. Okay, there's nothing behind it. So that's good news. Let me tell you why. I know, based on that if I get underneath, so I'll tell you right now, do not be shocked to hear me say short if I get the setup underneath 62.28. Can make that a red line in the sand, line width. It's massive, right? Put a little line on top, it's the top of the wave. It's a wave, I'm gonna block it off. We'll just make it a random color that doesn't offend anything. Okay, and then the mid of that wave is also often, see how backside tested the mid of that wave and holds, right? Okay, there's wave one. Within that wave is another wave, right? So that's the wave we have to get underneath to have a good short, okay? B, look at the size of the delta push that came in against that. They couldn't get underneath that wave. All these guys were, watch, as soon as you get on top, these guys covered. See this? As soon as you get back on top of that wave, please buy me in. That's exactly what happened there, okay? So I don't care about this wave. I care about the up waves when it's going up, and I care about getting underneath them. So here's the last push. That was a short covering push. That wave goes from so it's wave over wave. Another random color, which means absolutely nothing. Here we'll do, shit, I don't know. Very light orange. There we go. Okay. Got the wave, mid of the wave. You can see we just pressed right into the mid of the wave again, right? Getting divergence here, dun, 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 dun. Fractal, no shift up. And there's nothing for me to do other than to know that when we get to the mid, we're likely to respond there, right? So I didn't get the shift. I got no speed bar, nothing. There's nothing for me to do there, really. If you look right off the top, here, I'm going to eliminate this for a second. This repeats that pattern, that speed bar, fractal, shift down, flip, right? Had I been not yapping and been able to get here properly, that's a very good short setup, right off the top. And you'll see you didn't get it the first time. See, I didn't get the fractal, but you got the speed bar, no shift down. Speed bar, fractal, shift down. That is a money trade right there. That was worth 30 or 40 cents. And I will hunt for that. I know I need to get at least underneath this wave. And what I really want is I want to be underneath there. And I will tell you, if I get set up underneath here on presses back up into this area, fractal speed bar, shift down, guys, I will press with size to the downside on those trades if that happens, right? But right now, there's absolutely no reason for me to suspect anything other than that it's going to get absorbed, right? So here's the other thing. Look how big the sell wave is yet again, right? And you're not getting past the mid of the last wave up. So, Bill, we were having that conversation, right? How am I going to gauge where I'm going to cover this short? I'm going to assume responsive buyers right there, and I'm going to cover it there. Because I know once I get underneath that wave, I'm going to have time to come back in on this trade. And usually it's going to be pretty rare that you just, I know it happens, but it's pretty rare that where it just evacuates, right? Usually you get another chance at it. The times that it does happen, that sucks, but I'm going to cover my half my position at least right there, right? And I'm going to start looking for longs. So we've already flipped over here. There's nothing for me to do. So really what I want this to do is press down again one more time on divergence. Give me a fractal, speed bar, shift up, flip. So this has to get negative and flip. And then I'll look for the long over there. So again, if I'm coaching you and you don't have that on your screen, tell me. I will get it on your screen. There's not enough room to put this all on one screen. And then finally, let's go do ES. Okay. So on ES, let's go look at where the waves are. Okay. Look how big the pushes were on top. Look at that. Biggest pushes up underneath. See ya. From Friday. That was Friday. So today, big push down. Okay, so see how that both in duration and in width and in depth, that's the biggest wave, right? See that? So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to go File. Okay, so now I have good information, right? Left, one to the right. Good girl, Daisy. Good girl. Okay, mid. See how we backside tested that mid again? Now look at that. Look, we got the biggest wave. Backside test on mid. Speed bar shift down was late, but look at that right there. There it is again. Speed bar, double shift, flip, and then look at your short at 713. That's freaking fantastic right there. And that's all your stop. That whole thing was contained in 2 bars. Like you can just blast it on size. That's a 4-point stop. And that's easy, easy peasy right there. Right. I know that's short. The only thing I would criticize myself on is that shorting in the hole, but look at the size of the wave you're breaking, and you're underneath the last push up over here to the left. We've got to get above that. That's currently your resistance, right? So now let's go look to the right and see what else we've had. So we're just bouncing underneath that, out of that wave all morning long. Divergence into a new low, right? So I want to keep track of where so we retested, but see, this wave just isn't as big as this wave, even though it's equal in delta, right? But we have pushed below, so I want to keep track of that. So one to the right, one to the left. Okay, so this is going to present a challenge. If you get above this wave, you're going to have to contend with the wave right above it. That sucks. We want it to stretch away from both of those waves, right? Because that's going to create a chop environment right above. There's people that are going to defend that area. The upside is if you get above a double wave like that, watch out to the upside. Okay, so let's go mark that off. That's the opening balance right there, those 2 orange lines for the first 30 seconds. Okay, so now I've got another. And the mid, it's already no. That area is the mid. There's no question about it, right? So it's going to line up perfectly. And there's the mid of that wave. Expect rejection first time in there. Okay. Did I ever get back? Not yet. Okay. And now okay, so see how we're getting, so, and then on our oscillator, okay, so notice back here, that's your swing low on your oscillator. So hypothetically, going back to 7 a.m., this is all on divergence, right? So just keep that in mind. That's your line in the sand on that. All of this is on divergence. So what am I looking for? Hey, I'm looking to get above the last push down on a wave, fractal shift up with a flip, and I will take it. Notice how I'm not getting any. So this is my last speed bar shift up. See, I don't have the flip. There's nothing for me to do here, right? It'll tend to line up with one another. So that's what I'm looking for. And there's nothing else for me to do. Just kind of relax and see if anything sets up. I'm actually hunting along in CL if they'll do it. If they'll set it up. I don't have it yet. So I'll call it out if I see it. And with that being said, right, I'm pretty damn confident somewhere today we get set up, and that's actually valid right there. Hold on a second. Okay, so here's where it's always a problem. See how we're underneath this right here? I'm going to take this against the low on NQ. So, but it's aggressive because of the size. So let's just call it long. If I can get to my dome. I got 73.61. Stop is going to go a point below 73.5250. Okay. See how I can already skate out of that trade if I want. I got to get my stop in. Hold on a second here. So 73.51.75 is the stop. I'm going to scale since I was late. 73.66. That's 5 points. And unless I get a reversal signal, I'll stay with that and let the stop. So now my entry took out half my contracts. So 61.66 is 5. That brings up 56. And my stop is 51. So right now I have 5 points risk on half size. And just that fast, that's how that sets up. And now I'm above my last push to the downside. All right. Oh, no, I'm not. I've got to get above this. Need a point of control and a bar above. And if I don't think it can make it, I can bail on it. But I usually think I can bail, and I have 9.25 points on the second half of this trade right now. So if you took that trade, manage it, because we're clearly in trend down. If you look at the 5-minute chart, we're clearly in trend down environment, right? There's your fractal speed bar, no shift down. So without the shift, I'm not worried, but this can come back and stop me. So choose your poison. It's fast. There's nothing you can do about it, right? So, but that is why this combo is so freaking important. And if this flips down, I'm probably toast on it anyways. With that being said, I need to go refill my coffee. My stop's in place, and I'm really not ready to trade. So let's do this. I'm just going to move my stop to break even and cross my fingers. Okay. So stops to break even. That probably isn't going to survive realistically, but that's okay. Stops at break even. We'll see what happens. And I'll be right back, and we'll get started on the day. That was good. That may survive. It needs to get above the top of this right here. See how they rejected right off the top? It needs to get above. If it gets above, see ya. And then the clear target is that up there, 7,400. See if it makes it. So, and you can punch out right now if you'd like to have 7 or 8 points. And I'll be back in a second, guys. Guys on YouTube, I'm going to kill it. And if you'd like to join us in the room, you can send me an email to tradeandperform@gmail.com. It's right in the description of the video. And all I can suggest is learn what your edge is. I know what my edge is, and I know what I'm looking for, right? If I get it, I take it. If I don't, I don't. And if it stops me, it stops me. But and then the artwork is focusing on where the really big pushes can come from. So anyways, have a wonderful day, guys. I'll be back tomorrow morning to do it again, and I'll post these charts up on StockTwits and Twitter just as soon as I get a minute to breathe. Talk to y'all shortly. For guys in the room, and I'll see everyone on YouTube tomorrow morning. Have a great day, guys.